Hello students, we are starting with a new topic, human nervous system. Let us learn it part by part as it cannot be completed in one session. So let us start with part 1. Let us understand how the nervous system is classified. The parts of nervous system in human beings are central nervous system, peripheral nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Central nervous system is composed of brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system is made up of cranial nerves and spinal nerves. That is the nerves arising from central nervous system. And autonomic nervous system is composed of sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. We are going to learn about each of these in detail in videos. Now let us first start with central nervous system. Now here I have shown the central nervous system. It forms the axis of human body. Can you identify this part? This is human brain and here it is spinal cord. Brain is located in the cranium inside brain box. These two, brain and spinal cord, form the mid-dorsal axis of body. Mid is middle, dorsal is towards the back, whereas spinal cord and brain present towards the dorsal side. Then spinal cord runs through the neural canal of vertebral column. Now, if you have studied in the last year that spinal cord runs through the neural canal or the cavity in the vertebrae which is continuous and forms a canal which is called as neural canal. Brain and spinal cord both are protected by coverings called as meninges. Now see in this diagram a part of skull and inside brain tissue is shown, and between the brain tissue and skull there is the covering called as meninges. It is made up of 3 layers. Outermost is dura mater, inside to is arachnoid and innermost is pia mater. So dura mater is the outermost meninx which is present just below the cranium. It is outermost, tough, thick, non-vascular. What does that mean? It is not having any blood supply. It is fibrous, attached to the inner side of cranium. It has subdural space between dura and arachnoid matter filled with serous or watery fluid. Between these two layers, dura and arachnoid, there is subdural space which is here and it is filled with serous or watery fluid. Then the next layer is arachnoid matter. Arachnoid means which has a web-like appearance. It is middle, thin, non-vascular. I think you all can see here, middle, thin, and it is non-vascular. It has web-like appearance made up of connective tissue, and there is subarachnoid space between arachnoid matter and pia mater. Below arachnoid matter there is the layer pia mater, and in between those two there is subarachnoid space which is filled with cerebrospinal fluid. We are going to talk about CSF or cerebrospinal fluid in the next slide. Then you have next pia mater or innermost layer which is delicate, highly vascular. It is rich in blood supply because it is in close contact with the central nervous system. Now, cerebrospinal fluid or the liquid which circulates around the central nervous system and which is present inside also. It is lymph-like extracellular fluid. We are aware of lymph. Lymph is a watery body fluid which is devoid of blood cells and some proteins. CSF or cerebrospinal fluid is slightly alkaline, has specific gravity 1.005. 100 to 120 cc is present in and around central nervous system. Now this blue color portion that is shown, around the central nervous system and inside the central nervous system. Inside brain there are certain cavities called as ventricles. It is present also in ventricles. CSF is drained out from the brain to outside by three openings in the roof of medulla oblongata. Now this stalk-like portion at the base of brain, this is called as medulla oblongata. At its roof there are certain openings through which this CSF is drained out. It is secreted by pia mater, the innermost meninx, choroid plexus, ependymal cells in the lining of ventricles of brain, and central canal of spinal cord. Central nervous system itself secretes the cerebrospinal fluid. Now it is performing very important functions. First, along with meninges, it acts as a shock absorber and protecting brain and spinal cord from mechanical injuries. Brain and spinal cord, these are the vital organs which are protected by meninges and the cerebrospinal fluid. It maintains constant pressure inside cranium, helps in exchange of nutrients and wastes between blood and brain tissue. Also, it supplies oxygen to the brain and protects brain from drying or desiccation. Such important functions, which are mainly protective, are performed by cerebrospinal fluid. Now, let us next understand parts of human brain. Brain is a part of central nervous system. Brain itself is divided into three parts: forebrain, prosencephalon, midbrain, mesencephalon, and hindbrain, rhombencephalon. Each part has further divisions. Forebrain has again three parts: rhinencephalon, reduced olfactory lobes; telencephalon, two cerebral hemispheres; and third is diencephalon, which is further divided into epithalamus, thalamus, and hypothalamus. Two parts of midbrain are crura cerebri and corpora quadrigemina. Hindbrain has two parts, metencephalon and myelencephalon. Metencephalon has cerebellum and pons varolii. Myelencephalon has medulla oblongata. We are going to learn each part of brain and its subparts in detail. Let us first start with forebrain. Forebrain has three parts as we had seen in the flow chart. First part is rhinencephalon or reduced to olfactory lobes. These are very much reduced and these are covered by cerebrum. Most of the brain that we see is cerebrum, part of forebrain only. It covers the small olfactory lobes. These are visible from the ventral view. Each lobe has olfactory peduncles and olfactory bulbs which can be clearly seen in the diagram. So first part of forebrain is highly reduced to olfactory lobes. Olfactory lobes are concerned with the sense of smell. In sharks, these are highly developed, that it's consistent with the great sense of smell in sharks. In humans, they are highly reduced. The next part of forebrain is cerebrum. The most of the brain that we see is actually cerebrum. Now this is the dorsal view that is shown. Largest part of brain, making up about 85% of total brain, divided into right and left cerebral hemispheres by means of deep median fissure. These two hemispheres are internally connected to each other by thick band of nerve fibers which is called as corpus callosum. Now here to the inside there is a transverse band of nerve fibers which is called as corpus callosum. Now lobes of cerebrum. Cerebrum is divided into 4 lobes because of the deep fissures in the cerebrum. Now let us see what are those. First, because of the central sulcus which demarcates frontal lobe from the parietal lobe. This is central sulcus. Then parieto-occipital sulcus that separates parietal lobe from occipital lobe. Here is parieto-occipital sulcus. Then lateral or sylvian sulcus. This is the lateral sulcus. And there is a fifth median lobe which is folded deep within the lateral sulcus, which is called as insula or insular cortex, which is not clearly visible. Because of these fissures, the brain is divided. Cerebral hemispheres are divided into four lobes. One is frontal, then is parietal, occipital, and temporal. These are the four lobes. Now, cerebrum histologically has two parts. If you cut the brain tissue, you can see that cerebral cortex shows outer surface composed of gray matter. Here you can see the gray matter, and inside to gray matter is the white matter. Gray matter mainly is made up of cell bodies of billions of neurons, cell bodies or cytons of neurons, along with non-medullated fibers and dendrons. And medulla, which is composed of white matter, has many axons of myelinated nerve fibers. The color difference can be clearly seen. Outer is gray matter and inner is white matter. Cerebral medulla is the deep inner part of cerebrum. Now you will see that surface of cerebrum is thrown into a number of folds. These are the elevations are called as gyri and the depression are called as sulci. These increase the total surface area of brain for accommodation of vast number of nerve cells. Greater the fold, more is the intelligence of the person. Now there are many functional areas of cerebrum. Now four lobes that we had studied in the previous slide, those are frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. Each lobe has number of areas. Let us learn about them. Frontal lobe has motor area which controls voluntary motor activities or movements of muscles. Premotor area is higher center for involuntary movements and autonomous nervous system. Association area is for coordination between sensation and movements, and Broca's area or motor speech area translates thoughts into speech, expression of emotions, intelligence, willpower, memory, personality areas located in the frontal lobe. So which are the four areas? Motor, premotor, association, and Broca's area. Motor, premotor, Broca's area, and the association area. Then is the parietal lobe. There are mainly somasthetic areas for sensation of pain, pressure, temperature, and taste, which are gustatoriceptors. Parietal lobe is mainly concerned with the sensory areas. Then the lobe which is behind temporal lobe contains centers for smell, hearing, speech, and emotions. Occipital lobe has visual area mainly for the sense of vision, and vernix or intelligence center is located here at in the contact of frontal lobe, parietal lobe, and temporal lobe. This area is concerned with understanding of spoken and written words. These are the functional areas of brain. Here we complete one part of the nervous system, that is brain, and part of a brain, that is forebrain. there is still one part of forebrain remaining, that is diencephalon, which we will learn in the next video. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Thank you.